Hello and welcome to another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. I'm your host, Cesar Hernandez, stepping in for Wiso, and today is all about Mexico's second place finish in the U17 Women's World Cup, the results of the quarterfinals of Liga MX playoffs, previewing the semis, Chicharito, the CCL draw. There's so much we need to cover. There's so much we're going to be talking about today. But before we jump into that, let me introduce tonight's guest, both of which are in the next round of our Liguilla predictions, and I am not, but we'll talk about that later. But over in Dallas, Texas, we have Cari Torres. Cari, you ready to chat all things Mexican soccer? I feel like before we started recording, we were listing off all the things we talked about today and some of the stuff that we might not be able to cover in today's pod.
It's Monday, full of football, recapping everything that happened from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, what we're expecting this week. I mean, it's awesome, pretty awesome.
Might even talk about some stuff happening last Wednesday, stuff that's happening next month, stuff that's even happening in 2020, 2044. Now I'm just listing random numbers, and we're going to go over to Adriana Terrazas, who's over in Mexico City. Adriana, you ready for today's pod? Ready to chat all things Mexican football?
I'm good to go. Isn't it weird that we only have like four teams in the semifinals now in Liga MX, and we have like tons of stuff to talk about. It's like the fewer the teams, the more things we have to talk about now.
Yeah, you're right.
We're just grasping the last bits of Liga MX before the break.
And then, of course, we'll have even more to talk about once we have the final. And then it's even crazy, even after all that, we still have to talk about the Club World Cup. I mean, we're not even going to talk about the Club World Cup today. There's just so much to discuss when we talk about Mexican soccer. But before we get it all into that, let me first kick things off with tonight's big question. And here it is. What did the U17 women winning silver in the FIFA World Cup mean to you? And we'll start with Gadi. What did it mean to you?
It meant a lot. It was a very emotional game. It broke my heart towards the end because it was just like something so close yet so far. But I think all in all, it just meant that there's hope, even at a youth level. And just like if you guys have heard me and Adriana in our football podcast, talking about Liga MX, Femenil, and this age group, I think they're the age group that definitely will benefit a lot, and that this is just the start. So I know that the growth and the development is there, and round of applause for those ladies. It was really, really good. They put up a fight. We could definitely break down the game, which me and Adriana will probably do it with Amy this week. But all in all, it felt awesome. It was kind of like a breather, like there is hope. And this is probably this, as well as Mexico beating Germany in World Cup, will probably top off the nice. 2018 for, Mexico and all. So,
Adriana, your thoughts. What did this result mean to you?
It meant that now we have like a really good basis to talk to people about why we should support women's soccer. All the time whenever I told someone, they would say, "Oh, but did you see how America beat, I don't know, Veracruz like 8-0 in the Liga MX? And did you see how the women's senior team didn't make it through the CONCACAF tournament?" Stuff like that. So now this is the greatest piece of evidence that we can show and just tell them, look, there is talent. These ladies did what they did after only a year and a half of having a professional tournament. Imagine what they could do if they had the 30 years that Spain has with their own tournament, and they were the finalists. So that's what it means to me. It means that there is hope, there is talent, and it's just a matter of keeping up with it and just giving it a lot of attention. And so I was really happy to actually have that and just like hold on to it and say like, hey, did you see this? I mean, it's a silver medal. Are you kidding me? Yeah. So yeah, that's what it means to me.
And it really eases the pain of Mexico not qualifying for next year's Women's World Cup for the senior side, because I think one of the bigger talking points going into qualifying for Mexico for that tournament is just like, all right, we have Liga MX Femenil now. This will be a great opportunity for some of those Femenil players to really show off their talent that they've been acquiring the last several months. And it just, just speaking, just once again, just not as a journalist, as a Mexico fan, but it hurt a lot. I mean, and you can only imagine how much it hurt those people who are involved in Liga MX Femenil. You can only imagine how much it hurt those girls who are involved with the national team. So I think that as much as that was a setback, I think it's really, really good to see the U17 national team doing very well. And once again, I mean, we mentioned a little bit, but I think it's a sign of promise for the women's game in Mexico. And it's a sign of progress with Liga MX Femenil as well. You forget how young some of these girls are who take part in Liga MX Femenil. These aren't girls that are like, in their, mid to late 20s. A lot of these girls that you see on the field, I mean, they're 15, 16, 17 years old. So I'm thrilled. I was just, I mean, I know they lost. I know Spain were pretty dominant in that match, but I was very, very thrilled with how Mexico did in that tournament. So let's see some of the responses here online. Let's see. Alan at Alan_Velasco said, it got me looking forward to the female Liga MX. Jay Hernandez at L_Artista 4000. What a handle that is. So it was great to see these players, a lot of passion and fight in them. What they did in this World Cup is a huge statement. Makes me want more for Liga MX Family League to be broadcast here in the US. Here's another one from Melissa HR at MNO Carbura, who says, it was incredible to see. It's evidence that we have talent and the game can grow so much. Hopefully it becomes an incentive so that the FMF starts taking it more seriously. So let's dive into that. Let's dive into the Women's World Cup final. Of course, I mean, it was an unexpected run for Mexico. I mean, I don't think Mexico, a lot of fans expect them to make it to the final. And although they ultimately lost 2-1 against Spain in that final, it's a huge accomplishment. But to you, Adriana, I mean, thoughts on the match itself or Mexico's run to the final, to second place in the U17 Women's World Cup?
Well, obviously there was a lot of skepticism regarding how the El Tri would do, especially after what happened to the senior squad, not even making it through to the World Cup in the CONCACAF tournament, which we don't dominate on the women's side, but still, seeing as the rivals that we had, we thought we would make it through kind of easily. So just beginning the tournament, we knew if we could make it past the group stage, that was pretty much a success. I mean, this is the youngest of the younger categories in the World Cup. These are players that, yes, they play in the Liga MX, but it's only because there's a U17 rule that obligates some of the clubs to give them minutes, which we're thankful for now, because it is giving them that possibility to play at a stadium, to play against America at the Azteca Stadium, to have all that mental growth as well, not only performance wise. But so after seeing them make it through the group stage, making it through the quarterfinals and semifinals, I was mostly impressed not only at how well they did on the field, but how mentally strong they were. Yeah. They were down several occasions during several games, and it just didn't seem they were nervous. They didn't seem pressured. They knew what they were doing. They knew what they had to do to actually get the goals they needed, and I was really surprised by that. And again, as I was telling you, Spain has a 30-year-old women's tournament. It was created like in 1988 or something, or 1987. And to see Liga MX have half of the players, 12 of the 21 players are from Liga MX. The others are mostly from the US. Some of them are in Europe. Just to see them through with 12 Liga MX players that occasionally get minutes at that level and make it through to the final, it just makes me wonder, what would if we would have had a squad that was entirely made up of Liga MX, or maybe players that had not only played on the field because of that U17 rule, but because they were actually given more minutes because they wanted, or the coaches trusted them, or there was more patience with them during this like growth process. I just can't imagine what they would be able to do. I mean, it was a 2-1. It was pretty close. Yes, Spain was quite stronger. But again, these are players that have clubs that have been around for 30 years.
Yeah, and in the second half, I think you got to give them credit too, because they had their opportunities, they had their chances there in the second half. So I think you got to give some credit there to them, and also to manager Monica Vergara. But Kari, your thoughts on Mexico, whether it be their run in the tournament or whether it be that final match. I mean, your thoughts on much more than just what this game means to you, but just your thought on how well Mexico, really did in this tournament.
So I'll bounce off of Adriana, because I think we talked about this in our podcast. Like, even just getting past group stage was already a goal. So just seeing them go stage by stage and go moving forward, it was just gave you more excitement. It's like, oh my God, this is actually happening. And then semifinals versus Canada. I mean, all it took was a 1-0 penalty, and we were in the final. And it was a Spain that was really clearly dominating the whole game. But there was aspects of the game where Mexico just kept pressuring, and they were very fearless. They weren't scared. They're like, okay, bring it on. And they were just so close. And I think set pieces were just really, part of Mexico's play throughout the tournament. And it just sucks. I think at halftime, I tweeted like what was happening during that game was just that Mexico really needed to stack up on the wingers and stack up on Claudia, because she was the one that was basically dominating up in the front and moving the ball. And she moved the ball so well. It was interesting watching her.
Spain's number 10, right?
Yeah, Claudia Pina.
Oh yeah, she'd be like a Liga MX star right now. Like that. I was incredibly impressed with her. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, she's a killer. Yeah,
she's a killer. So it was just, you know, Mexico trying to control the winger so they would stop feeding her. And then whenever I would see the ball cross, I'm like, get Pina. Like, she's alone. Like, she could just like get a 1-2 behind, and that was it. But you know what? I think they were really, really close. And I think that's what, you know, there was just every ball, like the last 5 minutes, I was like, come on, like, don't stop. And I think, you know, for some players, it definitely turned a switch on and say, hey, we just need a goal and we can, you know, get this game going. And it was awesome. It was just, the result was sad, but it's an achievement. So,
and I think they actually knew how big the achievement was, because I didn't really see them too sad about it at the end. I thought I was like, oh my God, they're all going to be crying and everything. And they were like, dude, we made it. We're like the runners up from the World Cup.
Yeah.
We just made it through what no one thought would be possible. Half of us just started playing professionally about a year and a half ago. And that's if they actually started playing when the league started. Some of them may have joined the teams a little bit afterwards, so maybe like a year or so. So it's just amazing to see how far they got with so little support. I mean, these are girls that aren't paid more than like $100 a month in some occasions. So just think of what's behind this. And today they had a press conference back at where they practice, and they had their camp before actually traveling to Uruguay. And they were asking, hey, do you guys know anything about the prize money? Are you guys going to get any prize money? I mean, you made it to the World Cup final. And at first they didn't know. Later on, one of the federation's directors said, yeah, we know that there will be a prize. He didn't say what it was or how much it was. But during the press conference, Monica Vergara, the coach, just grabbed her medal and said, this is worth more than anything they could give us. And then nice. Tana Sanchez, she kind of like stole the mic and said, if I could just say something, we're players and we love what we do. We're not here for the money. And I thought that was just kind of brave and just saying, we don't really care. I mean, we know we have like zero support sometimes, but to be honest, we're really here because we love to play. So just seeing that attitude and seeing that they were all grateful, saying, we know what we did, and it's not that we don't want the money or we don't need it, but it's just that you don't get why we're here. And that it's more important than whatever the federation can actually give them later on.
Yeah, but seriously, girls, get that money because FMF has plenty of it.
You're right about that.
Yeah, Kati, really quickly. I mean, when you're thinking about, I mean, we already touched upon it a little bit, but you know, when we're thinking about the future of women's soccer in Mexico and Liga MX Femenil and the national team, which also encompasses some Mexican American players, like how excited are you? How excited are you feeling after this U17 tournament?
I hope it opens other people's eyes because there's just so much talent. It's just a matter of looking into it and making it grow. And I wish I can get the games broadcasted over here. It'd be so much easier. And honestly, let me just say something. On Saturday, I looked up on the guide and I saw the World Cup final was announced on the guide. Come Sunday, it disappeared. I was just like, no way. Like, they seriously cut the women's final. Like, they're not broadcasting it. Like, it's something that I just couldn't believe it. And I think it just sucks, you know, because I think it would have been.
Are we going to call out the people who are supposed to broadcast it, or we just leave it at that? I don't know.
I'll just leave it as that. I'll give props to Amy for letting me borrow her login so I could be able to watch the game. Because other than that, it was just sad. So I think the growth is there, and I think lots of people with the women's going to the final, I think it definitely will open their eyes and say, hey, you know, let's keep up with these girls because, yeah, they're 16s, 15-year-old, 17-year-old. Like, they have so much more to give. So we can definitely see them with the senior squad, you know, in a couple of years. So it's just awesome. So I think recognition I saw a lot of recognition on Twitter. So that was pretty good from, you know, Osvaldo Sanchez to, you know, all these players. So it's just promoting it, and girls are fun to watch to play soccer. Let's put it that way. So.
Yeah, they flop less than the dudes. It kind of gets annoying to watch the dudes after a while. Adriana, any final thoughts on the U17 girls? Their huge accomplishment. I mean, honestly. I mean, you see some dumb comments right now on the YouTube chat. You're like, oh, why are you talking about girls? Be like, you know, that was the big accomplishment of the weekend. I don't care what happened with like Chicharito and Liguilla. That was the big accomplishment for me. So, Adriana, your final thoughts on
Chicharito is busy thinking about how to do cosas maravillosas, saying something else. These girls actually did it. Yeah, he's being all philosophical. These girls actually did what they were trying to do. So yeah. I'm really optimistic about this generation. A bit about maybe the U20 team as well. They didn't make it past the group stage in their World Cup during the summer. Still, though, kind of worried regarding the senior squad because not only will they miss the World Cup, but they won't be able to participate in the Pan American Games as well. That was their ticket. The same ticket was for both tournaments. So they're not going to make it to that tournament either. And I'm just worried about what will happen with those players, seeing as though they won't have much activity next year. And these are players that you want to keep in contact. I mean, these are players that you want to know what Charlyn Corral is. You want to know what Kenty Robles is. So I'm kind of worried about that, but really optimistic about what's coming in regarding women's soccer in Mexico.
All right, so now let's move on to Liguilla quarterfinals. And why not start with Pumas' shocking 4-3 aggregate victory over Tigres. So the first leg, Tigres got a 2-1 win over Pumas, but then Pumas bounced back and they got that 3-1 victory on Sunday against Tigres. Scotty, I mean, your thoughts. What went wrong for Tigres? I mean, who's to blame here? Do we look at Gignac? Do we look at Tuca? I mean, what happened there with that team from northern Mexico?
I was very surprised because I did not have any faith in Pumas. I think we talked about it last week.
Yeah, neither did I. I definitely thought that Tigres would be able to go through.
It was a Pumas that has been very consistent during the whole season. So it's really hard to bet your money on them. It really is. Like, I wouldn't have. I probably, if I would have bet $100, I probably lost it because especially at Pumas at home, like I think you said, they've only won one game in their past 8 home games. So it's kind of like the game returning back at home, 12 o'clock Sunday is kind of like, does that Pumas really want this? And I think they definitely showed out. I think it's a Tigres that, like I've said, they haven't had a great tournament. Tuca has neglected Tigres as Selección Mexicana. So it was just a very not concentrated Tigres. And I think Gignac did not show at La Liguilla. I think out of 10, he had 10 shots and none of them were at goal. So it was just a Tigres that it was just meant their end of the tunnel was this. It was just they were bound to fail either in quarterfinals or finals. I know Tigres has a stacked squad and whatnot, but and they're really, they turn on the switch when they get La Liguilla. But I applaud Pumas. I really did. Why? Because after Pumas scored, Tigres just needed one goal. So they were just looking for that one goal, and that did not happen. So it was a huge surprise. And my dad's pretty happy because he's a Pumas fan. But yeah, I mean, out of the Felino battle, Pumas won. So
and Tigres were, they were essentially playing it was like almost like a 3-2-5. I mean, it was like an opposite, like 5-3-2. It was really bizarre just to see what like the numbers that they were throwing forward, and it makes sense why Pumas were able to get that late goal right there against them. And a quick little, let's see, comment here from the chat. Louis says, "Lol, Cesar said Tigres were going to be champs." And that is 100% correct. And I stand here corrected. Adriana, your thoughts on this? I mean, did you expect Tigres to lose this? Because I've seen some people online be like, "Oh yeah, I predicted Pumas all the way. I knew this." I'm like, no, you didn't. Come on. I know what.
No one did. I mean, let's face it. Tigres has won the Liga MX championship 3 Apertura seasons in a row and has been in the final in 4 Apertura seasons in a row. I mean, history was on their side. I mean, this was Pumas. This was a team that only won 2 home games in the entire season. And you have someone like Tigres that has a huge squad. I mean, you have Mr. Liguilla, Mr. Gignac, who for some reason didn't appear. I have no idea what went wrong with him. But
the artist formerly known as Mr. Liguilla.
Exactly.
We've taken that away from him.
Oh, okay.
Given that to Carlos Gonzalez.
Oh, okay, yeah. Excellent. Okay, I'll write that down. But yeah, I mean, Pumas wasn't a strong team at home. I mean, the players talked about it during the season. They knew that they were like in depth with their fans because they were like, we're supposed to take advantage of playing at home at noon in Mexico City, and that's terrible for any team that comes into Mexico City. It's killer. So then you have Pumas. That's a lot. It's a team that's done really better as an away team, and then you come into Seúl with the disadvantage of playing Tigres that has this huge like history in the Apertura season, especially whatever Liguilla. I mean, they've made it through all the time. So I guess no one really thought this was possible, especially the way Pumas kind of made it easy at some point. And And just after Eduardo Vargas missed that really clear shot, I mean, that would have changed history. But yeah, Pumas knew what they were doing. They held back and made it through. It's just amazing.
Yeah, and Gotti, for you, who was the standout Pumas player for you? Because when I'm looking at the roster, I was pretty impressed with Arribas, who shut down Gignac and actually made him take those difficult shots. I mean, Malcorra, I was impressed by Carlos Gonzalez, Felipe Mora with his 2 goals there. I mean, who stood out to you there from that Pumas side?
Probably the youngster, Carlos Gonzalez. I think he's had a really great season with Pumas. So just showing out in La Liguilla with these games, especially against Tigres, getting his goal, I think it's just something that will just better him for other Liguillas to come. So I would say Carlos Gonzalez, honestly.
Yeah, no, and I think that I think that it's interesting kind of to note this roster and just the difference. Just the attacking power from Tigres and Pumas, and just
I think we lost Cesar. Did we lose Cesar?
Did we lose Cesar?
Oh, what? There we go.
We lost
you for a second.
Yeah, sorry, that's my Wi-Fi, and it happens every now and then. I'm sorry, but anywho, if there was one Tigres player that I was impressed by, I think it was Aquino. I think Aquino actually did quite well. And he almost made it into my. I had to write an article about the best 11 for the quarterfinal stage. He made the bench just because because Tigres weren't able to go through. But maybe if Tigres would have gone through, I would have put him there in the best 11. But I think I was very, very impressed by Aquino there. But other than that, I mean, Gignac was just nowhere to be found. I mean, Guido Pizarro did all right. Carioca did all right. But just, I mean, especially defensively, they were pretty bad. I mean, they were quite awful in the quarterfinals.
I was looking at a tweet that said what Necaxa is missing out on during the season. They were like, okay, yeah, Carlos Gonzalez doing amazingly well in Pumas. Roberto Alvarado, star of Cruz Azul. Lichnowsky also with Cruz Azul. Marcelo Barovero, he actually made it through with Monterrey, which was an even bigger surprise. And I was like, oh, yeah, poor Necaxa. Yep.
I think, what was I going to say here? I think that it was just... it's even more like impressive to see what Pumas have done too when you look at some of the bench options that they brought in. Like you look at a Tigres side that brought in Jurgen Damm, Sosa, Ener Valencia there in that second leg, and they still couldn't find that one goal that they really needed. So once again, shout out to Pumas, well done, made it out to the next round, and I think there are a lot of Liga MX fans who are quite proud and quite happy about that result. But let's move on to Cruz Azul and their 3-1 win, 3-1 aggregate win, I should say, over Querétaro. They started things off with a 2-0 away win against Querétaro, and then they went through with a 1-1 draw in the second leg. Kari, thoughts on this? I mean, is this a sign of them finally ending their curse?
I think we all can agree. I think I said Cruz Azul was my team to win.
Everybody's team to win.
Awesome, right?
I mean, like
it's kind of cool. Now it's kind of cool to like them a little bit, right? Because they're like somehow an underdog, even though they're the #1 seed, right? And I feel like that's how I feel a little bit. I don't know.
So we could retire the Cruz Azul shirt in World Cup, right? Because that was just like the worst. You did not want to see a Cruz Azul shirt in Russia during these games.
Right now, there are a lot of really confused, like Swedish and like South Korean and German fans be like, "Why? Like that was supposed to be like look at that team. They're doing real. They're probably extremely confused right now."
Exactly. I think it's a Cruz Azul that just clearly dominated. I think Querétaro never felt as composed as I thought they would with the players because they have really good players. It's just I don't think they were well composed in the first and the second leg. I mean, yeah, the second leg they got a 1-1, but I just think Cruz Azul is a very dominant team, and like you had Cesar said, they have a lot of depth. I think every sub you're just adding, you're subbing out quality, subbing in quality. You know. Elias, what a golazo from Elias. Every time Elias scores, my heart keeps breaking saying, Leon, you let go of Elias. Like, why? But and yeah.
And things are getting even worse at both sides, so, you know.
Why? Stop taking stabs at me right now.
That's Leon ownership, yeah.
Yeah, I have to make a call and tell them to get their stuff together. And then I think another important piece that me and Cesar had talked about was about Aguilar. I mean, that goal was awesome. I think VAR, in the first game had a couple of introductions into the game, but I think all in all, Aguilar, outstanding player, one of their best refuerzos for Cruz Azul, and he's definitely showing out just as defensively, offensively, he can be very dangerous. So they have a really well composed squad, and I'm looking forward to how they do in semifinals. I mean, I think in 5 years they finally reaching semifinals. It's something
Yes,
that they
the
should be
last
proud
one
about.
was again. Yeah, you said it, America. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah,
Adriana, I mean,
Liga MX is cruel. It is.
Kari was talking about some of the refuerzos right there. I mean, but for you, from those like new players, like who really stands out to you? Who would you say is the best signing? I know that's quite a question because a lot of those new signings have been incredible for them. But
Yeah.
Alvarado, Aguilar, Elias, I mean, you could say Marcone. Like who's really stood out for you from that Cruz Azul side? Who's really helped carry them to the semis?
Well, I think we've all been amazed because by Alvarado because of his age. I think it's the fact that he's so young kind of impresses us. But I think Marcone has been a really good signing for Cruz Azul. He's been really consistent. He's not changed at all since Pedro Caixinha put him in. He's someone they can count on. Elias Hernandez had some ups and downs during the tournament. I mean, he started off really well, and then we kind of lost him a bit. Roberto Alvarado was away with the national team on some occasions. So I'm thinking the one that's been kind of like a solid rock for Cruz Azul has been Marcone, a bit more maybe than Elias and Roberto Alvarado. But still, I think it's just the fact that the way Cruz Azul built itself for this season, I mean, they had their entire squad before week 1, and that never happened. I mean, you have signings like during like week 5, and then it would take them like
you saw the
2
signings
weeks.
Before the draft.
Yeah.
They're probably chilling at the draft. Like, they go to this like nice hotel. Well, they probably were like, they weren't in the lobby. They were out in the ocean and whatnot, like hanging out, like getting drinks. They didn't have to go in the lobby.
So that's the most amazing thing. I mean, you've seen a team that was built so well during the entire season. I mean, they got off days during the FIFA dates. They have a really good squad. I mean, they have 2 players per position. Fortunately, not many injuries. And they had this combination of youth players as well because they had to keep up with the U20 rule. So it was just an amazing way to build the team, to finally build a team that makes people optimistic that they'll finally be able to win a championship after 21 years. The thing is, they kind of struggled with Querétaro at the end of the game, I think. Something happened there. But I'm glad it did because that way they'll fix those mistakes before they actually play semifinals. So I was only worried a bit about that, but I think it was a good moment to mess up because that way you know that you have something to correct and you'll correct it in time to make it through, hopefully, to the final.
Yeah, and shout out to some of that VAR madness. I mean, kind of talked about it really quickly bringing up VAR, but what was it? They had the correct call for the Querétaro goal, and we're like, all right, VAR, you're here doing a fantastic job. And then later, there's a potential like penalty call in favor of Cruz Azul, and then the ref checked it out. And then like you can see on our TVs, like he's like looking at the wrong play, and we're like,
"Oh my god,
what are you doing? Like, what are you doing?
Like, so frustrating. That was so frustrating. I was like, are we really watching this right now? We're really witnessing this. Like, show the man the correct play. Like, no.
And then so for those who didn't see, as opposed to deciding whether it was a penalty or not, he instead called a foul on Cruz Azul in a previous play, which led up to the. Is that right? I have no idea if that was maybe that was the right decision. Maybe in some sort of like weird like VAR regulations that we're not aware of, that's what you're supposed to. But from my knowledge, that is 100% not what you're supposed to be doing there.
And then Edgar didn't even get a card because it was just like a non-existent penalty. So I was kind of confused. Like, okay, so he's marking the foul, but he fell over there on his own. Is he not going to card him? And, it was just kind of like, we're just going to go with the flow because this is Liga MX.
VAR, you've got some work to do. I'm glad that VAR exists. I'm glad that VAR is.
I'm glad it's here, but
it's here, but
a little kinks in the system.
Yeah, it needs some improvements. All right, so let's move on to Monterrey. They shut out the champions. They shut out Santos Laguna with an aggregate 3-0 victory. They got a 1-0 win in the first leg, and then a 2-0 win in the second leg. Adriana, that Rogelio Funes Mori goal
that was
in
awesome.
the first leg. Is that? I mean, without even. I don't care what other goals are going to happen the rest of the game. That's going to be like the goal of the season, right? It has to be. So I don't know.
If Cruz Azul makes it through to the final or wins the final with a goal in the 93rd minute, it won't be close to what Rogelio Funes Mori did.
No, I mean that was just incredible. Once again, I feel like I say this like once every podcast, but like if you haven't had a chance to see this specific goal, please go check out that goal from Rogelio Funes Mori, the first leg. That was just incredible to see that happen. But I guess we should talk. We should talk about the actual matches, and I guess we should. I mean, I'll go over to you, Gary, on this. I mean, what went wrong for Santos? Because I feel like I think we all kind of thought that they would put up more of a fight, right?
Definitely. I think it was, and I bit my tongue just for this stage because I kept saying Monterrey has not shown me anything this season. They're very boring to watch. They don't have a style of play. Yes, they have good players, but that's it. So I think they just barely made it by into La Liguilla. And I guess they just flipped the switch and they just turned it on. And I was really questioning what Santos was doing. I think in the second leg they were at home, so it was like they have the advantage. Being at home, and it looked like at times they were sneaking up there in a couple of unlucky plays. But I mean, all in all, Monterrey showed their quality that they do have with these players and the combinations that they can definitely build up to score. And that Funes Mori goal was a golazo, but I don't like that Monterrey is in semifinals. But if it had to be one of the two Regio teams, I guess Monterrey. But if you put the matchup versus Cruz Azul. That's just me.
I think it all depends on the individuals too, because I think what, at least in the second leg, what really stood out to me, because sometimes it's hard to think about that first leg because that seems like an eternity ago, but in that second leg, I mean, I feel like Aviles out of nowhere just really stepped up because I feel like Aviles hasn't exactly been the most reliable player for Monterrey. I think you had someone like Barovero who really had a good game in both legs, actually. I would say in both legs, he actually did fantastic for them. So I think I'm not saying that those are the only reasons why that they were able to go through, but I think those two players significantly helped Rayados, especially in that second leg where you thought that Santos were really going to step it, because Santos did have, if I remember correctly, did have a number of shots in that second leg, but I think that Barovero in net just did a fantastic job there. So, but once again, like you said, Gabby, that's fair. We just are they going to maintain that momentum going forward, or are they just going to be? I mean, it wouldn't be that surprising if they were to just stumble and be fairly feeble in the semis.
They've stumbled before. I think they just choke in situations like this. So I think they face a very powerful Cruz Azul. Monterrey games, they don't even fill up the whole stadium. So I'm kind of saying,
yeah, that was weird. That
stage is kind of cursed for them as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, like you mentioned,
Cruz Azul.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, in their home leg, there seemed to be a serious lack of fans showing up to the stadium. And I remember it might have been online. Maybe some of the commentators were saying just like, "Oh, we'll see what happens at halftime. Maybe more fans will show up." But there was just a real lack of fans showing up there in their home game. And it's one thing for it to be a regular season match, but this is it's a crucial quarterfinal match. Yeah. So it was a little bizarre to see not a lot of fans showing up in that first leg at home. But Adriana, for you, any other thoughts about Monterrey or Santos Laguna before we move on to America and Toluca?
Well, I actually thought it was a surprise, not only because Monterrey, I agree with Gary, it was just one of those teams that they were kind of regular to make it through this stage, but not really being that fantastic Monterrey that we're used to. They had all these really powerful players that actually made a difference all the time. But Santos, if you remember correctly, they kind of stumbled at the beginning of the season because they had to fire Robert Dante Siboldi because he had some problems with some of the players. And then Salvador Reyes came in. But you look at the squad, and it's just an amazing squad. They were really consistent throughout the season. I mean, you had Brian Lozano, you had Julio Furch, who was fighting for the top goal scorer position. You had Cabecita Rodriguez, who was an amazing player. I mean, I think he was probably the best one for Santos. And then you had Osvaldito Martinez and Gallito Vasquez in the midfield, and they're really good players. I mean, these are players that any other team would want in their squad. So I was kind of surprised to actually not even see them score against Monterrey.
Yeah, I think that was probably. I mean, especially because I mean, once again, Liga Makers predictions. I mean, I don't care how informed you are. Like, you're gonna get some Liga Makers predictions wrong because this is one of the most unpredictable leagues in the world. Maybe I'm just saying that to make myself feel better.
No, it's true. It's true.
but that I think one of the more shocking things from the playoffs is that I said this in the last podcast. I think that Santos is an attacking duo up there. Like I said that was the most dangerous attacking duo in the league. I had full faith in that, and I was really, really shocked to not see them gain at least one goal.
Scoreless. Yeah, they went scoreless. Not even a fourth goal towards the end. It was just something like, is this the Santos that we've been watching all season? Has been pretty consistent. And I think for Monterrey, it's just Funes Mori's his present. Me and Tom Harrison were talking about it, how, Funes Mori has been on and off during the season. So now that he's here, I think the numbers definitely show where they play better. So we'll see how this plays out in semifinals.
Okay, so now let's move on to America barely squeezing by with a 5-4 aggregate win over Toluca. I think this was the most exciting series. I feel like a lot of fans would really agree about how exciting this series was. But
maybe not the America fans, but yeah.
Yeah, maybe not the America fans. America fans wish this was a 5-0 aggregate win right here. They'd probably still be complaining if it was a 5-2 aggregate win, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, so the first leg, the Toluca got a couple goals there. They got a draw at home against America. It was 2-2. And the second leg, America barely squeezed by with a 3-2 win. Adriana, it looks like America are having a tough time closing out games. And although they won, this got to be a worry going forward, right?
I was actually having a really good time because not only did I think Toluca might have actually made it through, but I was sitting next to 5 America fans. They were screaming so hard. It was just, they were telling the players, you have to keep them from going to the corner. You can't let them get that shot. It was just, they were so frustrated. And it just shows that, yeah, America was really one of the stronger teams. But if they're that vulnerable, maybe another team can take advantage of that, particularly Pumas, who actually just beat Tigres, who we all thought was a favorite, and take advantage of that and make it through. So, I was kind of surprised that America would be that that would allow that many shots. Toluca had one player red carded at what was it, like the 70th minute or earlier?
It was earlier than that. It was actually, I have it right here. It was Rodrigo Salinas who got a red in the 51st minute of the match.
That's almost an entire half of the game. Yeah. So I was surprised to see that. I have no idea why Miguel Herrera didn't think about Oribe Peralta much in the game. I don't know. I don't know if they were too confident saying, yeah, we have the home field advantage. We're just going to make it through. And then they were just one goal away. And I think Toluca had lots of chance. There was one with Ruben Sambuesa, and I was like, it's just going to be that. Ruben Sambuesa is going to get his former team eliminated from the Liguilla. And I was just amazed the ball didn't go in because I was really expecting some really tough 10 minutes trying to make it back and all this pressure. It would have been amazing to see that.
Or even something like, I thought one substitution, which was a little odd when you see Joe Corona, who came in for Edson Alvarez. And I was like, okay, I guess you're looking for another goal here, Bioko. And I think when they were trying to be a little bit more attack-minded, that's when they ended up allowing that later goal from Da Silva there in the 87th minute. So it was just a really, really strange second half. And I'm looking here at the stats. Even though they went down to 10 men in the 51st minute, Toluca finished with more possession, more shots on target. More shots inside the box. Of course, they got one more red card, but Toluca were extremely, extremely close there. And Gary, for you, I already asked Adriana, how big of a worry this is, but how big of a worry is this for you if you're an America fan? Going into the semis, this is not the kind of momentum you want to be seeing your team go through to the semis.
Definitely. I think they were really, really struggling. And I think we've seen this. We've seen this throughout the season. A team with 10 tends to do better than a full team with 11. I think we've seen this. So the possibility of Toluca scoring was just very high. Is
that the strategy you're going to have going forward? You're just going to see in the next match, Bioko's be like, you know what? We're keeping one dude on the bench. We're going here with a 5-4 formation. We don't need no striker.
We don't need no striker. It was just a game where, I high-key wanted Toluca to get the upset. I really did. Why? Because I think in the first leg, they definitely showed out what they could do. They were up top, pressuring. Alexis Vega, it was a golazo. Come on. That was that's for me, the best goal. Because just the way it came, 90 plus 90, I was 96 minute, taking on 3 America players, and then the shot, it was just awesome. So it gave Toluca kind of okay, we're going into the second game, being optimistic. And even after Salinas came out, they kept pressuring, they kept being optimistic. And I think it was America was definitely feeling it and was oh my God, we can potentially be eliminated. Toluca just needed to score 1 goal because they would get 3 goals in having an advantage of scoring in El Azteca. And I think America really needs to restructure. I think they started with 5 in the back, but all in all, it was 3. And then the advantage that America does have is that their center back duo, Aguilera and Valdez, have 10 goals in the season. So they're like new strikers up top when they're, out in the attack. So
they're almost as good of a striker as Monterrey's other central defender, Nicolas Sanchez. We have a lot of goal-scoring central defenders out there.
exactly. So it was a great game. I was kind of expecting someone else to get red carded just because we know how Sambu is. But all in all,
he has a history. Yeah, he has a history.
I kind of wanted to see Linus, but
he's done better though.
I kind of wanted to see Linus as a summary of me watching America this season. Adriana, let's wrap things up with a very serious, very, very, I don't know. I think serious is a good way of putting it. On a scale of 1 to 10, let's give a grade to Bal Aguilar's goal celebration.
Oh my God.
I really hated his previous goal celebration. I don't know. I just didn't like looking at it.
Do you want me to do it right now, or would that be a little weird?
You can do the new one. If you can do the new one, the new one's kind of fun.
No, I can't do that. Like, I'm sitting in a chair right now. I can't do that.
But someone actually told me that he has this really good relationship with one of the guys that works at the club. And I don't know, they kind of got together and he said, if I score, I'll do this. Because that's where the first celebration came out, the one where he like moves his hands. And then this one, I think, is kind of like he's continuing that tradition of scoring, like, I don't know, for his friend at the club or something like that. I mean, there's a nice history behind it because I was like, dude, that's like, I don't know, you could get injured doing that. I have no idea. I mean, but and kudos to the America Twitter account in English because they had the most amazing GIF of him like jumping around and doing a dance. It's like a fun thing to watch. Look it up in Twitter. That was fun.
Yeah, that was incredible right there. That was a highlight of the series. That might have been the highlight of the playoffs. So it's like, is it Rogelio Funes Mori's goal, that Alexis Vega's goal? I don't know. After that, just the madness with VAR. But I mean, that was just. I mean, once again, if you haven't had a chance to see that celebration, if you're watching the show, you've probably seen the celebration because I like tweeted out about it like constantly after it happened. But really quickly, yeah, I do want to give some credit to Toluca. I mean, I think Sambuesa deserves a lot of credit for what he did because he almost carried them into the next round. And I think that it's a slight shame to not see them go through because sometimes you like seeing those upsets in the Liga MX playoffs, and they were incredibly close for going into the next round. And it's really impressive when you see the fact that they were down to 10 men for most of that second half. So I think you got to give some credit there. To look at who aren't exactly they're at the most exciting side to talk about sometimes, but yeah, so credit out there to the Diablos Rojos. All right, so let's move on to the semis. I was gonna ask a question about the biggest surprise of quarterfinals. We got about 10 minutes left. We got a few more things to go through, so let's go over to the semis. So we got the first legs on Wednesday and Thursday, second legs this weekend. And let's start with Cruz Azul Monterrey. Cari, what comes to mind when you think about Cruz Azul Monterrey? Do you have any early predictions? Just your thoughts in this series.
It's going to be at home. Monterrey's home. If we're going predictions, I'm going to go with the 2-2.
2-2. Okay.
2-2.
For just the first leg, just as opposed to the first leg, just the overall series, because the next time we record an episode, it's going to be next Monday. So overall series. It doesn't have to be specific scoreline, but just a overall prediction for that series.
I think it's going to be a tough first leg. I think they're both going to get a feel for each other. I just think Cruz Azul is going to dominate. I really do. I don't expect Monterrey to really do much.
Okay.
There's not the much to say, like
yeah.
It's just a powerful, dominant Cruz Azul that has a stacked squad as Monterrey, but Cruz Azul has been more exciting to watch and been pretty more consistent than Monterrey. So as much as Monterrey has surprised us versus Santos, I just don't see them match up equally to Cruz Azul. So
yeah, I would just for the sake of a fun argument, I would like to disagree with you, but I can't. No, I 100% agree. Adriana, your thoughts?
I think Cruz Azul will make it through. I think they have the home advantage for the second leg. I think Monterrey will kind of miss that support from their fans during the first leg. And I really do appreciate that Cruz Azul kind of messed up a little bit against Querétaro. They had those mistakes. They kind of suffer a bit. So I think it was a great moment to have those mistakes and just work on them during the week. And I think that despite Monterrey having some really good names in its squad, I mean, you have Aviles Hurtado, you have Rogelio Funes Mori, I think just Cruz Azul is like the more complete team.
Yeah.
So I see Cruz Azul making it through. I think Monterrey might score maybe a couple goals during both legs, but I think Cruz Azul will make it through, no problem, to the final, and then we will all be praying for this drought from Liga MX titles for Cruz Azul to finally come to an end.
All right, so I'll agree right there. So we're all three of us are saying Cruz Azul over Monterrey, yeah?
Yep.
All right, so now
Isn't it gonna be like the biggest bummer if Monterrey actually makes it through? I mean, I think the entire country is like, except whoever else makes it to the final, I think everyone else is rooting for Cruz Azul.
I'm definitely rooting for them as well. I mean, especially, I mean, just like I mean,
Tigres failed.
and just like I mean, it's just I think it would be the most exciting. I think there'd be a lot more emotion in the final with Cruz Azul there. And I feel like a lot of that emotion, a lot of that like excitement about this team that has this curse, this team that I don't know, which has been the laughing stock for quite some time. Like if they were in the final, I don't know, it would be it'd be a little unfortunate to see. But then again, I mean, Monterrey could be exciting when they want to be exciting. So we'll
when
see
they
what
want to
happens
be.
there. Yeah,
that's a good words. Yeah.
All right, so now let's look over to the other semifinal series. We have the number 2 ranked America versus number 3 Pumas. Gary, your thoughts on this series? Is it going to be as simple as the Cruz Azul Monterrey series, or we think it's going to be fairly easy for one side, or do you think there's a possibility this one could be a little bit closer? Because I think this one could definitely be a little bit more of a tighter series.
I think it's going to be a tighter series just because of America's performance in the second game. And kind of seeing how they are with an advantage. And they just totally let that game slip. So I think it's going to be good. Pumas is at home, which will be interesting because they're at home and they play like, 8 o'clock? So it's like the time that they play. So it's going to be interesting. Yeah, they play at 8:06, I think. It's like that weird time. So it's going to be a tight series. I think the first leg they'll tie. And then we'll see if America at home can still retain and be powerful against Pumas. It's a different matchup this time around than last season when Pumas miraculously made it into quarterfinals and America totally trashed them. So I think it's a different situation here. It's close. I think America goes by, but I wouldn't be mad if Pumas did. So.
Yeah, no, I think that. I mean, personally, I don't see Pumas as a team with the quality to make it into the final. I know 100% that means that they're going to make it to the final just because I just said that right now. But I think when you're looking, I mean, just when you're looking at the rosters, when you look at the squad, I just can't see them surpassing a side like America, and especially with some of those individuals from America who I think can really push them through. When you're looking at someone like a Mateus Uribe, when you look at Marchesín, I mean, even to an extent, someone like Roger Martinez, I think was doing all right in parts of that quarterfinal series. You look at someone off the bench like a Diego Lainez, who could really make an impact there. I have a lot more faith in this America side. So I think it's going to be surprisingly tough for America. Maybe we'll see a lot of the problems that we saw in the quarterfinals. And I think that big problem was them being able to hold on to those leads. But I think America are going to be able to sneak through. I think they'll narrowly sneak through to the final. Adriana, your thoughts? So you think you have a little bit more faith in America, or maybe even Pumas?
The thing is, I would have thought before the Liguilla, if you said, "Oh, America will make it through the final," I'd say, "Yeah, that's pretty possible." I mean, they were playing really, really well, except for those few moments against Toluca. We were like, "Oh my God, they could actually be eliminated." But still, I mean, Pumas made it through past Tigres, and that's really something no one expected, I think. So I'm kind of thinking that it might happen that Pumas could eliminate America. But as Caris mentioned, despite them only having 2 victories in Seoul during the regular season, it's gonna be hard to see them actually make it in a game when it's 8 o'clock in their stadium. They never play at that time except for like Copa matches or the CONCACAF, and it's gonna be odd to see that. I'm kind of worried though, because it's also been a while since Pumas and America came this close and like really, really close circumstances. I mean, they're not that far off performance-wise, and we know that this is probably one of the most like violent matches possible in Liga MX. Yeah. I was actually listening to several fans of America during the game against Toluca. They were already chanting out to Pumas. I'm kind of worried about what might happen at Seoul. Not so much at the Azteca. The Azteca usually not lots of things go happen, like violent things. But maybe at Seoul on Thursday, I still think America has a slight advantage over Pumas just because of the squad and how they did during the regular season. But as you guys mentioned, if Pumas actually makes it through, it wouldn't surprise me too much either.
That's not a definitive answer, though. That's not a definitive answer.
Yeah, I'll go with America. I'll go with America.
Okay, so
America?
all three of us are going with Cruz Azul America.
Oh dear.
All right, Ols.
You know what would have happened last time?
All right, yeah, go ahead.
Wouldn't that be amazing that after all this trouble with the turf at the Azteca Stadium, the last two games would be played at the Azteca Stadium?
Definitely.
I think that would add a lot more drama, and hopefully
it could be like the worst form of Cruz Azulearla this season ever. I mean, the best team, first place, getting like everyone in the country excited. You have an amazing coach, amazing like new players, and then you make it to the final again against America and you lose. That would be like, oh my god, that would be like for the record.
No.
In case they actually win, it would be like the best way to make like a comeback. That would be like the best comeback in history.
No, this is what happens. So it's gonna be like the 89th minute. Caraglio steps up. He just needs like one goal here to solidify like the championship here for Cruz Azul. He like takes a shot, but like he slips on a piece of like new turf, and he like he just like slides for like 5 yards and just like skies the shot.
We've had it like we've talked about it the entire season, and it's gonna. Oh my god, it could be.
NFL players watch and be like, "Yeah, see, yeah, that's a good reason we didn't go over there."
And you wanted us to play there. Like, really? What were you guys thinking?
And that would be red carded too.
After he thinks someone hits him in the face, but it's actually some of the extra turf hitting him in the face, and he like punches someone. But anywho, anywho, so let's move on really quickly to the semifinals of our Liguilla Madness. It's our predictions that you can follow and take part in through our Twitter, and that's at Mexican Soccer Show. Actually, I do not know. I don't even know what our handle is. Let me check this out. At Mex Soccer Show. You would think I would know that. That's pretty embarrassing. But anywho, maybe I'm just saying that because I'm embarrassed about the fact that I didn't go through to the semis like Kari and Adriana. They're both through to the semis. Weasel is also through, and also you, the fans, are also through after defeating me through tiebreaker. Come on, we gotta reset that. Amy, if you're in charge of this, you could reset it so I could have gone through. Maybe I could have bribed you so I could have gone through, but nonetheless, the fans went through. So the semifinals of our Liguilla Madness, we have Weasel versus Kari, and then we have Adriana versus the fans. So once
really? I thought I faced Weasel.
No, you got the fans. They're brutal.
Oh no, the fans were kind of like they were doing well during the season.
No, I did pretty well in the playoffs too, but they got the tiebreaker against me. It's not fair. I don't know. I'm gonna complain. Anywho, yeah, there you go. Yeah, use VAR and be like, oh wait, everyone did their math right, and I'm an idiot. So once again, keep it on. That's the Twitter account at Mex Soccer Show, where you can any of you who are listening, you can go over there. You can kind of choose your predictions. So you can therefore beat Adriana and make myself feel better if you guys all win. So that way I can say that I lost to the champions. Adriana, quick update on the Liga MX Femenil. It looks like America now have a place in the final, and they now have an opponent, if I'm looking at this correctly.
Yeah, they're going to face Tigres, the current champion. Tigres hasn't lost a single match in the season. They just won 4-2 against Chivas. It was 5-3 on the aggregate score. And it's just going to be an amazing game to see because America it's the first time America makes it through the Liga MX final. They're going to be looking for their first Liga MX title with Leonardo Cuellar, former national team coach. And Tigres is going to look to be the first team to win the 2 titles in a row, and 2 titles period, because it's the 3rd season we actually had Liga MX Femenil. So it's going to be really, really difficult. I do see Tigres as a really big favorite because they're going to have the home game, the second leg at home. We know what happened last season with all the records and all the fans going to the Estadio Universitario. I really just don't know if America is willing to lend these girls the Azteca Stadium. They didn't play at it in it during the entire season. They were like the first team that was sacrificed away from the Azteca Stadium. They played all their games except the first one at Cuapa, at the club's facilities. So I don't know if because it's a final, they're going to let them play at the Azteca pitch, because we know what's been going on with that, and Cruz Azul and America will need it this weekend. So, yeah, so it's going to be odd to see a Liga Mix final not in the stadium for the first time.
Yeah, so one of the two legs, is it going to be like a Thursday and Sunday thing, or like a Wednesday and Saturday thing? Like one of the two legs for the
Well,
final?
they wouldn't be able to play on the weekend because Cruz Azul will play on Saturday. The men's side of Cruz Azul will play on Saturday, and America will play on Sunday. And most of the women's games have been kind of like a Thursday, Monday, Friday, like Monday kind of thing. So I'm thinking it's going to be, like probably Thursday and Monday. That might work, because maybe they'd be willing to lend the Azteca if it's on a Thursday. Hopefully.
Okay.
Yeah, that might happen.
So keep an eye on that right there. Liga MX Femenil final taking place this week, potentially next week as well. And since we just have it's a few minutes over 8 o'clock, but I guess we were a few minutes late. So if the two of you don't mind sticking around for just a few more minutes to talk about a couple more things, but really quick Mexicans abroad update. Chicharito got a brace for West Ham against Newcastle over the weekend. Got a little
What's the celebration? What's this? What do you do when a player scores a brace and it goes like this? I was like. We lost it during the season. Something happened.
I've seen other players doing that as well. I don't know. Maybe we're just not up to date with like new celebrations. Maybe we're all getting old. It's like some sort of some sort of like rap video that we didn't see. Like we had no idea that like Lil Uzi has been doing that like in his videos on YouTube. We just like have no idea.
Paul Aguilar one. You would get lots of attention with that.
Oh god.
Yeah, but yeah, Carlos Salcedo. I think so a few more of the big news. So Carlos Salcedo, he's back to playing with Eintracht Frankfurt. He didn't step onto the field, but either way, he made the game day roster, which was very good to see. Tecatito continues his good run of form. He scored the Champions League last week. He is the first Mexican to score in 3 consecutive Champions League matches. And over the weekend, he played as a right back for Porto as well. So whether it be as a winger, whether it be as a defender, he's doing quite well. And some of the bigger news as well, just so even though PSV lost over the weekend, it was good to see Eric Gutierrez get an assist. PSV get him a start. If you look at the stats, he's doing great. Put him in the starting 11. I think he's ready. I don't know. Even though he just showed up recently, I think you should definitely put him in the starting 11. Kari, really quickly, your thoughts on any of the bigger news regarding the Mexicans abroad? Or maybe there's something I didn't bring up that wasn't nearly as exciting. I don't know, because other than that, it's like what Diego Reyes like getting 1 minute earlier today. I don't know.
Yeah, about Guti. Surprised Chucky did not score, but
it's a surprise.
It's always a weekend Chucky scores.
Yeah,
it would be nice to see how like all the Mexicans like end the year like on a high somehow. I mean, Chicharito, it would be amazing to see him score again before the year is over. But I kind of think that all Mexicans abroad, or most of them, are ending like on a low, and it would be nice to actually see them end the year a little bit better than they are. I mean, I would love to see Raúl Jiménez have a lot better performance with Wolves, just like he did at the beginning of the season. Lots of assists, he had a couple goals. It would be great to see them like a little bit better performance as the year ends, thinking that maybe some of them could switch teams during the off season before the following year. So that's what I would wish for. I mean, I know they're coming up with the pause for before the next season. I think only the Premier League makes it through, right? I think, or do they also it's up as well?
There might have been. I feel like there might be another league that kind of plays through, but I think it's just the Premier League that does that. Until other teams that realize, like, dang, we could be making some more money by doing this. Who cares about players' rights? Yeah. But yeah, I think another thing to bring up. It was good to see Omar Govea get a start for Royal Antwerp. I don't know how you pronounce it. I think it's Royal Antwerp. But then he got injured 8 minutes into the match. So that was
Guardado's injured as well, right?
Yeah, Guardado got substituted, I think, the 18th minute of his match against Real Sociedad. I don't know how serious it is. I've been trying to look online to see if there's anything regarding his injury, but I didn't see anything regarding how serious that was for him.
It's probably not that bad.
Yeah, hopefully it's not that bad. But one more little thing of news here. There was a CCL draw for the CONCACAF Champions League. So we do know who some Liga MX teams are going to be taking part, or who they're going to be facing in the round of 16. So we got Santos Laguna, who are going to take on Marathon from Honduras. We've got Tigres, who are taking on Saprissa. We've got Toluca, who are going to be taking on Sporting Kansas City. And then we've got Monterrey taking on Alianza from El Salvador. So that's something to keep an eye on. I think that those matches, they aren't going to be kicking off until next February. That's when we'll have the first and second leg, and then we'll have the quarterfinals in March, semis in April, and then I think the final legs in May. All right, I think that's about it. I think we've covered everything. Someone has been complaining about Chivas, about us not bringing up the Club World Cup. That doesn't start until December 15th. We've got time. Don't worry, we've got time.
We got next week. We're
still thinking about the uniform. We're not kind of convinced if that
I
uniform
like
was
it.
The pajamas?
Really?
They're going to be great.
I like it. Someone buy me that kit. I'll wear it.
Well, there you go. Chris,
I think we all can talk about the mysterious Higuera tweets about who's coming and all that stuff. I think that's very childish now. Like it's starting to be really like, just say who it is. We kind of already know.
Yeah, I kind of like. Yeah, I don't like him too much. Next week, I thought I'd like him eventually. I'll be like, yeah, he's done well for the team sometimes. I mean, look at everything he's done. I'm like, no, look at everything he's done. Yeah, next week, I think it's Tuesday and Wednesday, is a draft. So we'll see all the teams that are eliminated, except obviously the finalists, who I think get a little bit more time. So we'll see all these movements come up with all the other teams and just I don't know, we'll see what Chivas does for next season. There's been lots of talk about Iramier. He might come in for next season. I think Carlos Salcido is going to stay for another 6 months. Oh, dear. It's the new Oscar Perez.
Why?
I don't know. I guess we're desperate or something. I don't know.
Because Montes decided not to go.
Montes? Yeah, Cesar Montes was going to go.
Yeah, so we'll see lots of rumors probably pop up as more teams were eliminated this weekend, and to see if Alexis Vega makes it through to Chivas. I don't know, Cari. I don't know.
No. I need to be his agent.
So
I need to be his agent.
See that?
It really is. They need a. Go ahead.
We need as much help as we can get.
I said we weren't going to talk about Chivas, and here we are talking about Chivas. It's 8:09 in California.
There's so much to talk about.
There is so much to talk about. I'm done,
Shout out
guys.
to all my Chivas friends.
It's over the hour point. I need to make some dinner. I'm gonna make some homemade pizza. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be better than Chivas' season, that's for sure.
How dare you, Cesar? How dare you?
How dare me? It's a fact. I'm not. It's not.
Well,
it's not even that much with this. All right, we'll have Okay, so thank you to everyone on the chat. Thank you to everyone who sent over your responses to the big question. Of course, thank you to Adriana. Thank you to Gary. And today we'll have Gary close out today's episode.
Okay, guys, this is us leaving on a Monday football. Make sure to catch the semifinals of both men's and women's, because there's always a chaotic ending to these games, whether it be first leg or second leg. We will catch you next week. Thank you guys for listening, for following us, for chatting with us, and we'll catch you next week on the Mexican Soccer Show. Can't talk.
So I didn't even get the username right for the Twitter account. So that's fine. All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you guys later.